Hello students. So in this video we will see the third part of the chapter 6, that is hydrogen, class 9 chemistry. So in the previous class we have discussed the laboratory preparation of hydrogen and the general preparation of hydrogen and industrial preparation of hydrogen. Now in this class we will understand how we can test whether the gas which we are producing or the gas which is prepared, that is hydrogen or not, because hydrogen is a colorless gas. Yes, you have to remember that hydrogen is a colorless, okay, it does not have any color, and also it is a odorless gas. That means it is having no odor, no smell will be there, and also it is a tasteless gas. So there is no color, no odor and no taste. Then how we can identify? So to identify this, if we burn the hydrogen gas, then it burns with a pop sound. A pop sound will be produced. That is the test for hydrogen gas. And also it burns with a pale blue flame. Hydrogen gas burns with a pale blue flame and colorless liquid is formed, which is nothing but water. So these are the two tests for hydrogen gas. By using these tests we can know that the gas which is prepared is hydrogen or any other gas. Next we will see what are the uses of hydrogen gas. So the first use of hydrogen gas is it is used in the manufacturing of ammonia. Okay, and the process which is used for manufacturing of ammonia is known as Haber's process. Okay, it's Haber's process. Second use of hydrogen gas is it is used for hardening of oils. Okay, hardening of oils. And next is it is used for synthesis of many important compounds like metallic chlorides, hydrogen chloride, methanol, okay, which is an organic compound. So all these substances are prepared by using of hydrogen gas. Okay, so these are the two important uses of hydrogen gas. Another important use of hydrogen gas, it is used in oxyhydrogen and oxyatomic hydrogen torches, okay, which is used for cutting and welding the metals. You might have seen that many times that the people who used to cut the metal sheets or who used to join the metals for making a thing or anything, for that they use a torch, a gas torch, and in that gas torch two gases are mixed. Either it will be oxygen and hydrogen or it will be oxyatomic and hydrogen. So hydrogen gas is used for cutting and welding purposes also. So these are the uses of hydrogen gas. Next we will see what is oxidation and reduction. Okay, so oxidation reduction we have to understand side by side. So we will understand both together. So first we will see what is oxidation. So oxidation is defined as a chemical process in which either addition of oxygen or electronegative radical to the substance or removal of hydrogen takes place. Okay, so you have to remember that oxidation is a process in which either what happens, addition of oxygen takes place or electronegative radical to the substance or removal of hydrogen or electropositive element from the substance. This is called as oxidation. And in reduction what happens? Reduction is the process in which either addition of hydrogen or electropositive element to the substance takes place or removal of oxygen or electronegative element takes place. So this is the definition of oxidation and reduction. Now let us see some examples of oxidation and reduction. So first what I said, that addition of oxygen, in oxidation what happens, addition of oxygen takes place. So for example, if you take magnesium and oxygen combine to form magnesium oxide. So here you see oxygen is combining with magnesium. So who is getting oxidized here? Magnesium is getting oxidized and it is forming what? Magnesium is getting oxidized and forming magnesium oxide. Next you see carbon monoxide is combining with oxygen and forming carbon dioxide. So who is getting oxygen? Carbon monoxide is getting oxygen. So who is getting oxidized? Carbon monoxide is getting oxidized to form carbon dioxide. Next, if we see addition of electronegative element, that means if oxygen is added, it will be called as oxidation. If electronegative element is added, then also it will be called as oxidation. If you take the example of FeCl2, that is ferrous chloride. So when ferrous chloride is reacted with chlorine, then chlorine is added. Now chlorine is what? Chlorine radical is Cl minus, that means it is an electronegative radical. So after electronegative radical is added to FeCl2, ferrous chloride, it forms what? It forms ferric chloride. So we can say that ferrous chloride is oxidized to form ferric chloride. Why it is oxidized? Because Cl minus is added, that is electronegative element. Okay, chlorine is electronegative element. Next, removal of hydrogen. So if hydrogen is removed, it will be called as a oxidation reaction. Here you see H2S hydrogen sulfide react with chlorine, then it forms what? HCl and sulfur. So if you see hydrogen sulfide, from hydrogen sulfide, hydrogen is removed and then it is formed to sulfur. So we can say that hydrogen sulfide is oxidized to form sulfur. Why? Because hydrogen is removed from hydrogen sulfide. Okay. Next one is removal of electropositive element. So if electropositive element is removed, still it will be called as oxidation. So here you see potassium iodide. In potassium iodide, potassium ion is there and iodide ion is there. Out of that you see it is forming iodine. That means from potassium iodide, potassium is removed. Now potassium is what? Electropositive element. So since electropositive is removed from potassium iodide, so we can say that potassium iodide is oxidized to iodine. Now let us see some example of reduction. So in reduction what happens? Here addition of hydrogen will be called as reduction. That means if hydrogen will be added to any element or any substance, then we can say that it has reduced. So here you see sodium is converted to sodium hydride. That means hydrogen has been added. So we can say that sodium is reduced to sodium hydride. Okay. Next you see addition of electropositive element. Here you see HgCl2, okay, has converted to Hg2Cl2. HgCl2 is converted to Hg2 and Cl2. That means what? Earlier it was having one Hg atom in it, but now it has got two Hg atom. Two mercury atoms are there, and mercury is electropositive element. It is a metal. So we can say that electropositive element has been added, and due to this it will be called as a reduction. So who has reduced? HgCl2 has reduced to form what? To form Hg2Cl2. Clear? Next, removal of oxygen. So if oxygen is removed, still it will be called as a reduction. Okay. So here you see KClO3, okay, potassium chlorate. Now from it has formed potassium chloride. So oxygen is removed. So if oxygen will be removed, then it will be called as what? It will be called as reduction. So we can say potassium chlorate is reduced to potassium chloride. Why? Because oxygen is removed from KClO3. Next is removal of electronegative radical element. So if electronegative element is removed, still it will be called as a reduction. So here you see FeCl3, how many chlorine atoms are there? 3 chlorine atoms are there. But in the product side there is FeCl2. Here there is only 2 chlorine atoms are there. That means 1 chlorine atom has been reduced. Now we know that chlorine is a electronegative radical. So we can say that from FeCl3, 1 chloride radical has been removed. So we can say that FeCl3 is reduced to FeCl2. Is it clear? I hope you understood what is oxidation and what is reduction. Next we will understand oxidizing agent and reducing agent. Now what is oxidizing agent and reducing agent? Students, you might have heard about LIC agent. You might have heard, yes or no? So what is the work of LIC agent? Do they make LIC policies of their own? No, they make LIC policy for others. That means LIC agents help others to get a policy or to make a policy. Similarly, the oxidizing agent help other substances to get oxidized. To get oxidized. So let us see the definition of oxidizing agent. Those substances that brings oxidation in a chemical process is known as oxidizing agent. That means they brings oxidation in a chemical process, and by that they itself get reduced. So remember that those oxidizing agents, they get reduced by itself. Okay, and in case of reducing agent, so let us see some example of oxidizing agents. So oxygen, ozone, these are the gaseous oxidizing agent. Then H2O2, that is hydrogen peroxide, and K2Cr2O7, that is potassium dichromate. So all these substances are the example of oxidizing agent. Okay. Next, we will understand about reducing agent. So students, remember that many examples are there which is given in your textbook. So please go through all the examples given in your textbook. You should read your textbook very thoroughly. Okay, do not study only the material. So I will advise you first study the notes given by me, and then you go through the book and study each and every detail given in the book. Next, we will understand what is reducing agent. So those substances that brings reduction in a chemical process is known as reducing agents. So these are the substances which brings reduction in the process, and during this, those reducing agents, they gets oxidized. For example, hydrogen, carbon monoxide, hydrochloric acid, potassium, sodium, and coke. Coke is nothing but carbon. Okay, now potassium, sodium, and all metals, most of the metals are reducing agent. Remember that. So these are the example of oxidizing and reducing agent. Next, we will see what is redox reaction. So what is redox reaction? So those reactions in which oxidation and reduction takes place simultaneously. That means if both oxidation and reduction takes place simultaneously, then those reactions are called as redox reaction. And now let us take an example of redox reaction. In the following, the copper oxide is losing oxygen and is being reduced, whereas oxygen is added to hydrogen and is being oxidized. So if you see the reaction here, what you can see? That copper oxide is combining with hydrogen and forming copper and water. So now if you see copper oxide, what happens to the copper oxide? It is converting to copper. That means oxygen is removed. So as we know that removal of oxygen will be called as reduction. So copper oxide is getting undergoing reduction. But if you see the hydrogen is converting to water. That means oxygen is added to hydrogen and it is forming water. So we can say that hydrogen is undergoing oxidation, but copper oxide is undergoing reduction. So as we can see here that oxidation and reduction is occurring simultaneously in the same reaction. So this type of reaction will be called as redox reaction. So students, we have come to the end of this chapter, study of first element hydrogen. So you note down the notes in your copy and complete the exercise. If you like the video, like, share my channel and subscribe the channel, hit the bell button to get the latest update. Thank you for watching.